So this is my first YouTube video, so don't judge. The audio might sound horrible, and I'm sorry for that. But this is my 16 and pregnant story and how I hid it for 5 months. So it was back in October 2015 that I found out I was pregnant, and I was only 16, and I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Like, how am I supposed to tell my parents? Do I tell my parents? I was so scared that I didn't tell anybody at all, besides my best friend and besides my baby daddy at the time, but now my husband. So you're so weird. Why are you smiling the whole time? So I didn't tell anybody, and I thought magically it'd disappear, it wouldn't be a problem later. But I was still pregnant 5 months later. Junior in high school. Actually, just kidding. Yeah, no. Yeah, I was a junior in high school. Wow. Yeah, I was a junior in high school. I was almost done with high school. But I was really slacking that year because I don't know what was going on, but maybe I was just I was probably being stupid and not focusing on school the way I should have. But I'd gotten pregnant, and it was like the scariest thing ever. So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't really tell anybody besides my best friend and my baby daddy then, but my husband now. And it was just like the scariest thing going through alone, to be honest. I was too afraid to tell anyone, so I kept it to myself, which is pretty much why I kept it to myself, because I was too scared to tell my parents. So I practically hid my pregnancy. I was a really petite little girl then. I'm not so skinny now, but I was really skinny then, so like I barely was showing. So I didn't tell anybody until March 2016. And when I told my mom, she was pissed. She was very disappointed in me. And, you know, it was understandable because I was 16 and pregnant. And we all had dreams of me going to, you know, college and being better than what my parents were when they were younger. But that obviously didn't happen. So I told my mom, and obviously told my older sister because she played a big part in my life as well. We went to Planned Parenthood that day, and obviously the pregnancy test was positive, and estimated off of my last period, I was about 5 months pregnant, but I didn't look like I was. So we got home from Planned Parenthood, and we were all sitting in the parked car, and they were saying that if it wasn't too late, I should get an abortion. I think that's one thing that probably hurt the most was the thought of having an abortion, because I honestly don't feel like I could go through with abortion and be okay after. I feel like if I had an abortion after, you know, I'd be depressed, and, you know, I'd hold that against myself for the rest of my life. So at my first OB appointment, which was like a month later, we found out it was a girl, and found out that obviously I was too far along to have an abortion. We had to tell my dad now, because we didn't tell my dad. We kept it a secret into the very last stretch. It was June, and that was my due date was June 22nd, 2016, and we told my dad the beginning of that month, and he was really disappointed. And it sucked because, you know, I was like daddy's little girl, and, you know, even my dad thought I'd go to college for sports. So, you know, it kind of sucked on my end to have disappointed like both my parents, because they, you know, they expected better of me. So when we told my dad, he was like, when the baby's born, put his and my mother's name on the birth certificate so they can adopt the baby kind of thing. But I wasn't really on board with it because that'd be weird for me. But at the time, it's not like I had any big says because I'm not the one that was working. I'm not the one that had, that paid rent or bills or anything like that. So that was their plan, was to adopt the baby. But obviously my baby daddy then, my husband now, obviously needed to have a say too. They didn't think so at the time. They really, really, really hated him. But yeah, so they wanted to adopt the baby. So after telling my dad, he didn't talk to me until the day after my daughter was born. So it was like, it sucked. It sucked to be me in that moment, if I'm being honest. It sucked to like feel like everybody hated you and you didn't really have anybody. And it was all because you were pregnant, and like, you wanted to be excited and happy that you're bringing a life into the world, but then you remember you're only in high school. You don't pay bills, you don't pay rent. So honestly, I really didn't know shit. But it just sucked that, I felt so alone. But after my daughter was born, everything was fine. Everybody loved having her around, and there was still tension in our house, but it was only towards me. But when it came to my daughter, it was just like everybody loved her, and it was like there was nothing bad that ever happened kind of thing. But if you're 16 and pregnant and watching this, or you might be pregnant and you're watching this because you want to know what it'd be like, everybody's different. Honestly, if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have kept it a secret. Well, with everything that I learned now, if I could go back with everything that I know now, I probably wouldn't have kept it a secret so long, because there's so many bad things that could happen within that time period of like 5 months of being pregnant. Anything bad could happen and your parents wouldn't know kind of thing. But at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it works out when you have a baby at 16, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on you. And we really, we were the lucky ones, because I've heard so many horror stories about 16 and pregnant and getting kicked out. We were lucky and blessed to have the support team that we did have at the time. That's my 16 and pregnant story. And yeah.